To be honest, I didn't want to go blow by blow.
Four men in a wormhole! Welcome to Four Men in a Wormhole. This is episode 4 of season 3, and joining me as always is my good friend Simon Cohen. Hello, Simon Cohen.
Hello, Stephen. Hello, everyone.
Hello,
Lovely to
Simon.
have you with us. Hello, Tal Silverman.
Hello, evening, everyone.
Well, or good morning. We don't know when people
Good
are
morning.
listening or watching.
Waving to you. Morning to all our listeners who are listening live in Australia, even though it's not gone live yet. So that's confusing.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh,
There's
this
a paradox.
is a recording. We're not actually live. No one's listening
okay.
right now. Well, I mean, as they hear me say right now, it is right now, but not.
We've got an audience of 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
So good morning, good afternoon, good evening. There we go.
Thank you. And actually, technically, Tal has an audience of 3, Adam.
Yeah, I was. Yeah.
We are to remind the people who may have not listened to the other previous episodes. We're currently doing a review of the different phases within the Marvel world as we approach the release of Doomsday. We are in phase 6, but with only one film into that, and so we're doing a catch up and doing a review of the movies. When I say review, we're not rating every single one, but we're sort of going through them one by one and going through their impact and whether they hits or misses. Did they misfire, whatever it may be. We will every so often tap and mention the TV shows, but for those who are wondering, we will deal with the TV shows in the same level of detail and intensity at the very end when we've dealt with all the movies. So our previous episode, we dealt with Phase 3, and which, if I remember correctly, Phase 3 known as the Infinity Saga. Thank you. And then this is phase 4, which is phase 4 known as anything, Adam? Because you knew what phase 3 was named. Simon's got his hand up. Simon, and his mouth is open. Simon, tell me, what is phase 4?
No, I mean, like AI tells me it was called Legacy, but
No. I think it just made that. I think that was a hallucination. Phases 4, 5, and 6 make up the multiverse saga. So phase 4 that we're about to discuss is the first part of the multiverse saga.
Very good, very good. And the multiverse, I think we can all agree, was essentially invented as a way to bring characters back or have them in different settings or join movie universes together as they merged with other companies.
Or just rely on rubbish storytelling.
Yes, which maybe we'll get through now as we start to look at the movies. So the first one that was released officially in this phase was, and I'm pretty sure this was a COVID movie. It may have been made before COVID, but it was certainly released in COVID. Was Black Widow. I've got many thoughts on this, but Adam, why not you go first? Because I think you watched it before us.
I definitely went to the cinema to see this because I don't know, it was like a post-COVID, we were starting going back doing proper things. Definitely saw it in the cinema. Black Widow, always been a fan of the character. I thought she's great. Scarlett Johansson is great in it. I think she's always had a bit of a bit part, and this was like to give her dues and actually give her a main movie. I think it's just a bit of a shame they did it sort of after the character was dead, because that kind of played into the story they had to tell, and we knew we weren't really going to get a sequel. You were only going to get this movie as a sort of one-off. But I thought the movie was okay. I didn't think it was brilliant. It was sort of more spy, because that's the character, Black Widow, and it was her background, her origin story, and I thought it was okay. I mean, that's my general kind of view of the Black Widow movie.
I'll go one step further and say I thought it was... Sorry,
can I just check something? Was it in the cinema? Because I remember she sued Disney.
Yeah, it was in the cinema.
I definitely saw it in the cinema.
It was in the cinema, but it didn't have a very long run.
Yeah, that was why
a lot of people were, and they wanted to move it onto Disney Plus quite quickly to benefit Disney Plus, because not a lot of people were going to the cinema. So that's why she sued them, because she was getting a percentage of the revenue or the profit and of it being in the cinema, and felt that she'd been done by because of that. But despite that, it still took I'm looking here, like nearly 400 million, which is actually the lowest. It is the lowest of the movies in this phase, but it's still pretty good revenue. But yes, it did come out of the cinema for sure, but not for too long.
All right. What were you going to say?
No, I was just going to say that I'll go a step further than Adam. I thought it was good. It was a good film. I don't think it was okay. I thought it was actually a good film. Yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. I quite like the fact that it was more of a spy thriller. I liked the David Harbour character as well. He's great. Was it Red? What's his name? Red Devil? Red Guardian?
Red Guardian, yeah.
I thought he was great. I mean, obviously, yeah, I just felt it was a great story. Went well, and it kind of like did explain quite a bit about her background and her upbringing and that kind of stuff. So yeah.
And Simon?
Yeah, I kind of agree with you, Tal. It was a story that didn't necessarily need to be told as part of the universe, but actually it was still kind of interesting to see how the sort of the widows were sort of selected and how they were brought up and trained and it did give her. I mean, it gave her the sort of the movies she wanted. She was very good in it, and yeah, David Harbour as effectively her father, but I don't think it was really her father. Was brilliant, and obviously we've seen him again in Thunderbolts, and also introduced Yelena, so one of the other widows, kind of like it may have actually been a sister,
Yeah.
who I think is really really good. So yeah, so it's good. It wasn't great. I was thinking about this movie the other day actually because I saw another movie which was really similar to it. Which was the John Wick movies. I don't know if you've seen those.
Yeah.
It's not quite sci-fi, although it maybe it's sort of edging on it a little bit. So they're trying to sort of do a sort of branch off with another character, sort of set in the same universe.
Oh yeah, the ballerina. Yeah.
Ballerina. So the ballerina movie is basically the same as John Wick. Replace John Wick with this girl who was trained to be a ballerina. But actually, there's a whole origin thing which is really really similar to the Black Widow origin story of her sort of being brought in at a young age because her parents were killed and then trained to fight and to be a ballerina at the same time, which is sort of very similar to this. I don't know if they copied it or whether it's coincidence, but anyway, I've gone off at a tangent. Yeah, good movie, not great movie. I'm kind of glad they made it. It was nice to see, but it doesn't really change anything in the whole universe other than introduce a couple of characters that we do like.
Yes, and as Adam said at the beginning, can't really change anything because she actually, when you're watching this, you already know her journey has come to an end and she's dead.
Yeah, and I think that was a bit of a shame. It sort of overshadowed a bit, I felt.
Yeah. But I'll tell you the things I liked about it. I actually thought her character was pretty basic in the movie. I think the two stars of it were the dad and the sister. I think they were the two unexpected gifts from the movie. But the one thing that I thought was controversial and kicks off a whole bunch of issues during this phase and the next was I thought the CGI was terrible, and it reminded me of, especially at the end when the whole thing blows up and she's trying to cling on. Essentially, it reminded me of the end, the two final Pierce Brosnan Bond movies, where it was dreadful CGI and was just so bad that I remember being in the cinema for Pierce Brosnan's last film, and everyone was laughing when he was doing that windsurfing. They weren't laughing because it was a good comedy thing. They were laughing because it was obvious he was just in front of a green screen, and I thought the CGI for Black Widow was poor, and I thought it started a trend of other movies with really bad CGI.
It's odd that, isn't it? Because bless you, I was just going to say, it's funny you said that, Stephen, because as a film, it's not CGI heavy at all, is it? I mean, it's a lot of practical effects, there's a lot of fight scenes,
except at the end. It goes Bond. It felt like a Bond movie at the end. It suddenly went Bond, and it could be The Spy Who Loved Me. Like the baddie is in this thing in the air. Do you remember?
It's an airplane. So airplane was exploding and.
It wasn't an airplane. It's a space in the air. It was essentially The Spy Who Loved Me. It was The Spy Who Loved Me. Who in The Spy Who Loved Me, they were under in the sea. This was in the air, and it was dreadful. I actually think it was absolutely. As someone involved in media production, I thought it was dreadful, and unfortunately, it's then started a trend that affected other movies and TV shows in the Marvel universe where it seemed to be they were relying more and more on CGI, and it certainly wasn't being done to the same quality that we saw in the early Avengers movies. And there was lots of talk on blogs and this, that, and the other about where they, cutting budgets and trying to get more out and this, that, and the other, and or there were other arguments that because of the investment in the TV shows, they essentially just didn't have enough time and enough people to produce work to the same quality because essentially everything was being diluted. But
Yeah.
it is a trend that I think. So for me, Black Widow, I love the father, I love the sister. I thought they were great characters. The film was fine until the final bit where you saw the evil villain's lair, and then it felt like a 1990s 2000 Pierce Brosnan Bond movie, and that took me out. Very hard for me to suspend my disbelief at that point. So that was my view of it. Anyway, the next one after that, I'm going to tell you, I thought was good because it has fantasy in it. I'm not saying it's a down to earth film, but actually, compared to a lot of the movies, it was pretty down to earth. And that is Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Because it's many respects, it's just a really cool martial arts movie. It's a buddy movie with the protagonist and the friend, girlfriend, and she's really funny. And I thought the comedy in it is excellent. And there was a bit of almost Indiana Jones exploratory stuff in it where they go in the jungle and all that kind of stuff. But I thought it was a great movie with great fight sequences and a lot of comedy in it. And I thought it was pretty well grounded. But that was Shang-Chi. One thing to say, I don't know, and we might repeat ourselves a few times with a couple of the movies in this list. I'm not too sure what it's to do with in terms of the multiverse. Maybe they're going to come back and tie it back together during Phase 6. But up until now, it's just been It's been
I think that's the I sort of watched it and thought, oh yeah, that's quite good. I kind of like that character, and that's interesting. Oh, I wonder what they're going to do with that, and so I wasn't like blown away by this movie, but equally I was sort of like intrigued, like how is this going to play out then? And then the answer from Marvel was not at all. So I was just like, oh,
yeah,
okay.
that's what it feels like. Simon, I mean, you're really into the law of everything. Do you one, have they referred to it in any other movies, and two, are you aware they're going to? I mean, because it has just been hanging.
Yeah,
Even though I thought it was a great movie.
I think he's going to be in the in Doomsday. I think that there were plans to do more with these characters because there is a post-credit scene where he's talking with Captain Marvel and I think the Hulk. So they obviously had plans to do something more with them. But I think you've got to remember that these phases, sort of 4 and 5, this is the point where they, with some exceptions, they were putting out too much content. Like it sort of drifted into quality over quantity. And they've then sort of pulled back over, sorry, they drifted into quantity over quality. And which is why they've sort of stripped things back in the last couple of years and are trying to sort of focus a bit more on quality again. So I think that there probably were big plans for, or there were at least some plans to do more with Shang-Chi, but they just had to strip back the movies that were coming out. The only character that we've seen again is Ben Kingsley's character Trevor Slattery, who is in Wonder Man. Which we can cover another time, but that's the latest Marvel TV show that's come out. But other than that, I don't think we've seen any of the characters since.
In fact, his character has had some of the most consistency because he was in Iron Man 3, this, and then Wonder Man.
And then in Wonder Man, and he also had a one shot. If you remember the Marvel one shots, you can catch up with them all on Disney Plus. But there's a scene where he's basically, I don't think he's being broken out of prison. Maybe he is being broken out of prison. So he's obviously in prison after being the Mandalorian in Iron Man 3. And then he's obviously out of prison in this movie, Shang-Chi, but in between, there's that one shot which shows how he got out of prison. If you want to go and watch that, it's only like a 10-minute thing.
Yes, they've invested more in his character than some of the other characters we're talking about. Tal, did you enjoy this movie when you saw it?
Yeah, you've pretty much said exactly what I was going to say, both of you, I think, between you. I actually really enjoyed it. I really liked the humour in it. I thought it was great. It was really entertaining. And despite the fantasy, because obviously I'm not normally I prefer the science, more sciencey stuff than the more fantasy-based stuff. But despite that, I thought it worked really well. The mystical stuff was really good. But yeah, I was disappointed because I thought that like Adam, I just thought this was, when it came out, it seemed like, oh, they're going to tie it all in with Doctor Strange. They're going to make it all
Yeah.
really kind of part of that same universe, and it'll all interweave really well. And I thought it would fit. It would fit really well with that. Yeah, they kind of just dropped it, unfortunately, which is a real shame. And I think it's a shame for the main actors in it as well, because they did a really good job in it, I think. And we don't really see any of them again, apart from, like, say, the Ben Kingsley role and that. But they're very small in comparison to what part of the film. But yeah, yeah, it's a bit of a shame. Like, and I think again that goes back to what Simon was saying about them doing so much. I think they obviously had to make decisions, and they just decided, because like you said about this phase being about the multiverse, I think they wanted to re-emphasize the multiverse. They probably knew that Loki was coming, but again, they could have tied all that in somehow. They could have probably brought some of this in with it quite easily, but have unfortunately chosen not to. Really,
I mean, they didn't even bring him into the TV shows because they could have referenced it and this, that, and the other. And also, sometimes you could bring something in without actually hiring any of the actors, because it could be a passing conversation between two other characters in one of the other movies about events that happened in blah, blah, blah. And sometimes we, as the audience, that's all we need to make us feel
Yeah,
it's a connected universe.
I think if
And
you
they
go,
literally didn't do any of that.
if you go back to the beginning of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the links between some of the movies was just a post-credit scene. That was it. They left it all for you to kind of do. So yeah, it just seemed they just didn't do anything, which was yeah.
Yeah, and as Simon said, there was a good post-credit scene that swept the appetite, but it was a post-credit scene that really did suggest he was gonna. Well, he was suddenly with the Avengers, right? Because he's with Hulk and he's talking to Captain Marvel, and it's like, no, nothing. Absolutely bizarre. Absolutely bizarre. Anyway, moving on to, I think, bizarre is Eternals, because I thought this was a bizarre film. I don't think it was actually necessarily a bad film. I just think it was a bizarre film why they chose to do this, because to me to me it's epic. It's huge. It's almost like maybe not an Avengers, but Fantastic Four. I mean, it's a
yeah,
whole ensemble cast. It's an
Yeah.
ensemble movie, and
I
most
think
people
it
don't
is
even know
about.
who the Eternals are. And I just thought, where's this coming from? And then they
Yeah.
abandoned it again. So Tal, you're
I mean,
keen to jump in.
I think it is a bad film, Stephen. I think it's a bizarre and bad film, personally. It felt yeah, there were little moments of humour which I thought were quite good here and there, but that didn't hold it up. It couldn't sustain itself for that, and it just felt very DC to me. It felt like a poor DC film, and let's face it, a lot of the DC films are very poor to begin with. So for
I
me,
agree.
this is probably one of my least favourite films.
I agree with Tull. It's like, oh, it's a superhero movie. Oh, look, it's a non-Marvel superhero movie. Well, that's what it felt like. It's like, when you watch a superhero movie and it's not Marvel, and you go, oh, is this going to be just a load of rubbish, or is this going to do something new and different that Marvel don't do? But it felt like, yeah, it did feel like a non-Marvel superhero movie that was trying to be Marvel but weren't actually Marvel. So they did it a bit badly. That's kind of what it felt like to me. The unanswered questions just was, and I know they tried to answer it, but I couldn't really get over it. It's just, what the hell were these superheroes doing when Thanos was arrived? And it just like they just decided not to participate because of some ancient oath that they took. It just seemed like. I mean, I know it seems weird to say, doesn't seem believable when we're talking about superhero movies, and you have to check yourself sometimes. But it's just that consistency of storytelling was missing that made you just got to go, yeah, I can't buy into this because it just doesn't make sense.
You're right. You're right.
It does. I mean, it does
Some of
link
the
a bit to Guardians of the
details.
Galaxy because he's a Celestial, isn't he? I think Star thingy's dad.
Star-Lord's dad. It was a
Yeah,
Celestial.
he's a Celestial.
But that
So there's a
didn't
little
quite
link,
make.
but it's like it wasn't really. It doesn't. You don't benefit from that at all.
No,
You
no,
don't
but
need. It
even
doesn't help the
Star-Lord's.
Guardians Galaxy film at all.
But even Star-Lord's dad being a Celestial doesn't really make sense because he was the planet, whereas here the Celestial was that big humanoid thing that was rising from the sea, wasn't it? And actually, if Thanos is going to destroy 50% of the universe, inhabitants of the universe, you would have thought that would affect maybe 50% of the Celestials. So you would have thought these guys who were there to protect it and develop it would want to get involved.
Well, wasn't there that theory that Thanos was doing something good because he was trying to protect the universe from the Celestials? Wasn't that a thing? I think that was a thing.
Well, if he's trying to protect them from the Celestials, why weren't the Eternals, who at that point were meant to be there to protect the Celestials?
I think this was the theory that Thanos was an Eternal that had forgot he was an Eternal, like one of the Eternals that was played by. I was going to say Tomb Raider, but it's not Tomb Raider, is it? The Angelina Jolie, wasn't she one of the? Have I got that wrong? Who played one of the Celestials? One of the Eternals? No. Was I wrong? Was that right or wrong?
Right.
Right. Okay. Right. Sorry. Yeah. So she had kind of forgotten that she was an Eternal, and she had this so there was this theory that Thanos was actually an Eternal but had forgotten it, and that's why he had this mad plan, because he was actually trying to protect the universe. So actually Thanos was a goodie because he's an Eternal. But I read that or watched some videos on YouTube when I clearly should have been doing other things.
Simon, I want to hear your wisdom on this.
So I have a slightly different opinion on this movie. And I'm going to explain why I don't like it and why I do like it. So the main problem here is, for me, is too many characters being introduced in one movie. Like, we were introduced, I just Googled it so I could see them all. We were introduced to 10 of these Eternals in one go. Yes, the Eternals are Cersei, Icarus, Ajax, Athena, Kingo, Macquarie, Phastos, Druid, Gilgamesh, and Sprite. 10 of them. Right, and actually, I couldn't name any of them if I hadn't just Googled it. I got multiple choice on some of them. So the problem for me was not the storyline. I kind of, I was okay with the storyline. I was okay with sort of the origins and why they were there, and I quite liked the sort of there was like a conflict between the Eternals and then we're protecting them from these monster things, and I can't quite exactly remember. I was okay with all of that, but my problem was that I'd love to get into characters. Like, I like movies actually and books when I can sort of buy into the characters, and there were too many to sort of start to care about these characters that quickly, and that was the problem with it. I didn't care about any of these characters. I didn't really know these characters. I didn't understand them and their motivations, and that's why when I watched this,
I think
let me just finish, because there is a big but coming up. So that's why I didn't massively enjoy this movie until, and I can't remember why, but I watched it for a second time.
Oh, okay.
And and the second time, I already had some understanding of the characters and who they were and their motivations and their backstories and this time round, I did care about the characters and actually enjoyed the movie a lot more when I watched it second time round.
Oh, interesting.
And so now you could argue, like, a movie should be good first time round, right? It shouldn't only be good when you watch it the second time. So I totally get that. But I do see what they were trying to do with this movie, and when I watched it the second time, I did really enjoy it.
I think the thing about it is also you kind of know while you were watching it. Like I said, like we said with Shang-Chi, that we kind of all expected it to kind of lead somewhere, and it would be an ongoing theme that would appear in other things. I think with the Eternals, I don't know about you, but I always knew there's nothing they can do with those characters in terms of bringing them into other things, because the fact that it's a bit like how, Miss Marvel doesn't. I know they had the Marvels film, which we'll come to in a bit, but it's like she doesn't appear in a lot of different things necessarily because she's like immortal. She's sort of unstoppable. Do you know what I mean? And I think in many respects, it's like the Eternals would just like clean up and just get everything done that needs to get done. And I just feel like so it feels for me like there's not a lot of point. Like I said, I'm not invested in them, like you said, Simon. I don't really invest in them as characters, but because they are all kind of immortal and whatever, it kind of they don't have that fallibility, which I think is quite appealing about.
But they were going somewhere with some of these characters, because do you remember the post credit scene and somebody very, very famous appearing?
Harry Enfield, Harry Hill,
Harry Styles. Yeah.
Harry Styles, that was it. Harry Styles.
I would love Harry Enfield to turn up.
Harry Hill.
Yeah, Harry Styles turns up on a spaceship with a few of the Eternals and
Star Fox. He calls himself Star Fox, or
Is he been in anything since then?
No,
No.
no, no. That's
No,
another.
it
That's
wasn't.
an example of them teasing Slapme
Yeah.
and then literally dropping it. And by the way, not only did they tease him, there was a character. Simon, you seem to have the information in front of you, but there's a character who is not one of the Eternals, but he's going out with one of the Eternals. I think is it Kit, the one from Games of Thrones, and he plays a character in it. And at the end of the movie, he finds some dagger or something, and
Oh,
and
oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
it's like, who is he? What's the dagger? And what's
It's
the
a,
coincidence that an eternal person happens? And then nothing happens with any of it. I think it's
no.
meant to maybe lead into Blade, the movie
Yeah,
Blade.
that's what it was.
But again, it's just been left. Just
Well,
been left.
Blade was supposed to be part of Phase 4. So
Yes.
the original announcement of Phase 4, Blade was part of it.
Yeah.
And because of the delays or COVID, blah, blah, blah. And now, what's happened to Blade? It's not, I don't, it's not,
Oh
it
no, it's had
hasn't.
so many. It's had
I
so
think,
many production
yeah.
issues and keeps being pushed back and pushed back.
Right.
But the issue is, what's going on with that character, and why did they even need to put that in? As you said at the beginning, there's really too many characters in this thing. So we've got Harry Enfield turning up at the end, and then we've got Kit doing this character. None of us quite understand why that's an important character.
Which Harry Enfield character would it be turning up, Stephen, in
Nice
your
for
mind?
Tim,
Is it
Tim, Tim,
like
Tim, or whatever his name is.
Nice for Tim.
Tim Nice for Tim?
Yeah, yeah,
Or loads of money or someone.
yeah.
This is a reference for our older
Yes, and our
audience
British, our
members.
British, our British. Anyway, moving on swiftly, because I know we've got a hard stop on this episode. Moving on swiftly is Spider-Man: No Way Home. Adam, why not dive into that? Talk to us about Spider-Man: No Way Home.
I don't have a lot to say about No Way Home. Someone else can dive in and say something.
I liked it. I thought it was really good. It was really good actually. I think I went to see it in the cinema. Yeah, I like the fact that they brought all the
Hold
other
on a sec,
Spider-Men
Tal?
back. Sorry,
Hold
go
on.
on.
I think if we remind Adam what the movie's about, he'll then remember the movie. This is the one where he wants everyone to forget about him.
Yeah.
Except, and then he screws up the magical thing that Doctor Strange is doing, and then the other old.
Oh, I was thinking of Far From Home.
No, we
Right.
discussed that last time.
Yeah, yeah.
Similar names on purpose. Far From
Yes.
Home was the
This
teenage
is
high
No
school
Way
movie.
Home.
This was an effect of sort of a whole.
Oh, this was the okay, right. No, good. Thank you for the reminder, Steve. But we can launch off with Toll though, because I think Toll has something more to say about it anyway.
I mean, not a huge amount. I mean, funnily enough, you were saying about. I mean, this is. I think this was the biggest grossing Marvel film of all time. Actually.
Oh wow.
1.9 billion or something. It's a ridiculous amount of money. It's insane amount of money that it grossed. Maybe that's a post-COVID thing, because looking at the date, it was December 21, so maybe everyone was like, "Oh, we can go out again," and everyone went to the cinema to see it. But yeah, and I think it's highest rated on IMDb as well. So it is. It's interesting because out of all the films, this is the one that everyone seems to rate. I wouldn't say it was my favorite Marvel film of all time, but it was up there. It was good. I mean, I thought I liked the fact that Doctor Strange came into it. I liked the fact that he was quite reluctant and all that, and I like the fact that they brought back the other Spider-Men and a few others as well. They got the Green Lantern in there as well, I think.
Green Lantern, Mr. Octopus, not Mr. Octopus, but you know what I mean, Dr. Ock, and Mr. Octopus. He was Mr. Octopus until he qualified, and then he was Dr. Ock. And then there's the other one, Mr. Sandman.
But they were big villains from the Spider-Man universe, but just played a very small role, and actually felt a bit sorry for them in this film, as I remember.
Well, no, it was all about feeling sorry for them, and then the Peter Parker that we know with the Tom Holland one, he tried to solve all their problems. Make them better people.
It was just like, hey, they've just got mental health issues, but they're just regular, people.
Well, with Doc Ock, he successfully does it because he realizes there's a microchip on him, which is an effect from the thing he invented that's screwing with his mental stuff. So he fixes that, and I think
I don't remember
the Sand guy. I think he sorts out. I'm pretty sure Jamie Foxx, has he not come back as the Electro guy?
Yeah.
And then I think the one who sort of can't be solved is Mr. Oscorp, who
yes,
baddie. You mentioned him just a minute ago, Tal. The Vulture.
Green Lantern.
Green Lantern.
No,
No, not Green Lantern.
That's DC.
That's DC. That's
Oh,
the
yeah,
one.
of course it
Goody the
is.
goody.
I always get confused
Otto
about him
Octavius, that
because
one?
he
No, the
rides the same.
Vulture. The Vulture.
He
Yeah.
rides the same thing, doesn't he?
Yeah, they wear
Yes.
similar things.
Yes.
Vulture, which is Mr. Oscorp from the very first Spider-Man film, the baddie
Yes.
from the very first
Yes.
one with Tobey Maguire. Anyway, I think they can't solve his problem because he's just a nasty guy. But I may have got that slightly wrong. But that was a great movie.
I think it's good, and I love the fact they brought the other Spider-Man in. Andrew Garfield. There was like a lot of love for Andrew Garfield. Green Goblin. There's a lot of love for Andrew
Thank you. Got
Garfield.
Vulture, Green Goblin. Well done.
There's a lot of love for Tobey Maguire, and actually I like some of the comedy when they all came together and they're kind of moaning about, oh god, I can't do this anymore because my back, and I don't know, just some of it was just good and funny.
And also,
good to
do
see
you
them.
remember the Daredevil cameo? An example of actually them bringing a
Oh yes, yeah, that was a good cameo, wasn't it?
Yeah, because
And Simon loves the Daredevil,
and he catches the rock being through
Yeah,
the
yeah.
window.
Yeah, he catches the rock, and then Spider-Man says to him, "How did you do that?" And he says, "I'm a really good lawyer."
Yeah. It's a good gag. This was a good film.
This was a really good film for me. I've seen this movie like multiple times. I absolutely loved it. I've got the picture on my wall behind me, which you can't see, but of the three Spider-Men and Doctor Strange. This movie, I think I may have actually cried twice in it as well, like just from happiness and emotion. It was just brilliant. It was just brilliant. It was everything that I wanted from this movie. When there were rumors about all the three Spider-Men going to be in one movie, it was really exciting. And then they just gave us everything that we wanted, and we saw them individually. We saw them fighting together. We saw them talking about their experiences as Spider-Man. We saw how they were slightly different in terms of I think two of them had to create their own webs, and one of them it grows naturally out of him. And there was and as Adam says, when they're chatting about too old to do this and back hurts and all that kind of stuff, it was just great, just wonderful scenes.
Simon, when you said you shed a tear, I just want to kind of benchmark what other stuff do you cry at? Like, I just want to benchmark, I can just imagine, you've never cried at the birth of your own children, but, Spider-Man, that's the thing that gets the tear ducts going.
Yeah, I mean, I do sort of get, I do get a little bit sentimental sometimes, but I don't normally cry during Marvel movies.
Right.
I wasn't like bawling, but I was just like, this is so great, and there's like tears in my eyes.
I do think it's really clever. I do think it's really clever that they can, obviously they've got this whole multiverse things, which gives them a get out of jail card a lot for all sorts of shenanigans. But I love the fact that they can kind of like pull together. They can bring different Spider-Men and the Spider-Men that we've actually seen, and obviously originally weren't intended to be from a different universe. They just changed the actor, and they've obviously just brought that in as part of the the whole idea that it's a different multiverse.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think that's where it kind of works well, doesn't it? It kind of the multiverse thing just aided a nice bit of storytelling and a nice bit of fan service, and that everyone can just be happy about it. But
it's also poignant at the end, because at the end everyone does forget him, which is what's leading us to his next movie, where he's going to have a new romance. But it's poignant at the end that everyone has forgotten who he is. And he's having to start his life all over.
Yeah, that end scene where you think she's gonna recognise him in the coffee shop and then doesn't, and
and also, by the way, also means he's out the Avengers, because they don't know who he is either.
Yeah,
everyone has forgotten him. So,
and I think I might have read that we may have seen the end of Spider-Man being part of the Marvel universe, as in Sony, who still own the rights to the character. They've just been working with Marvel to create these movies. I think are sort of pulling him out, pulling him away.
Okay, interesting.
So maybe that sort of the end of that movie is sort of opening up the fact that they now can pull him out of the Marvel universe without causing too many problems. Perhaps, I don't know.
I still, even though they don't know he's an Avenger, he knows he's an Avenger, and they still exist in his world. So if that turns out, again, fine, but but the Sony will be asking us as the audience to really suspend our disbelief, because we'll be like, well, how can it be operating in the same city where the Avengers are based and not see anyone, or whatever it may
Yeah.
be. It goes back to that one of the earlier films you were saying, Adam, there's Eternals, where they're asking us to, it's all made up, but they're sometimes asking us to go a step too far.
Yeah.
So
Whereas
anyway,
I
let's
think
move
there's
on.
two things I think just on that. I think that what I think Toll said at the beginning of this was the highest grossing film of Marvel's. Was it high grossing? Did you say it was high grossing of this four? It couldn't have been. Was it higher grossing than Endgame?
No, it's literally. I think it's the highest. I think it's the highest. Oh, actually, yeah. I need to double check that. Actually, I might be.
Well, I guess either way, it made a lot of money, and that probably means that Sony won't be quick to not do that again if it made that much money. But I think the idea of separating was that you could tell smaller stories with Spider-Man and not be part of it. But yeah, we'll see what they.
Oh no, Avengers Endgame was more. You're right.
Yeah, I thought that. Yeah, I would be
Actually,
surprised.
2.8
Yeah.
billion for
Yeah.
Avengers and 1.9 for. But it's definitely the highest out of that phase by
Yeah.
quite a margin.
Yeah.
Avengers. In fact, top three: Avengers Endgame, Avengers Infinity War,
Right.
and Spider-Man No Way Home.
Yeah. Okay.
And also, Sony may just want
Makes
to
sense,
renegotiate the deal so they get a bigger cut, because they've now realised their character is what drove, got that highest, earning thing. Moving on, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Simon,
Yeah.
big fan.
This is another one where I thought it was good, but I didn't think it was great. And again, I watched it a second time. It was maybe a little bit better. Maybe I think I had quite high expectations of this movie because the multiverse was in sort of full swing here, and and there was an opportunity for us to be wowed and amazing, and there was some quite cool stuff in it. But in terms of sort of story and I don't know. I think it was good. As I say, I think I was expecting great and ended up being disappointed.
Well, we were expecting with Patrick Stewart was going to be in it, or was in it. With the teaser trailers was that we were going to see Charles Xavier. He was in it, wasn't he? They had he was in it, and like that. I think we expected that to be brilliant because of that.
We had Captain Britain. We had John Juransky, however say his name, as from Fantastic Four.
Yes, we had Reed Richards. That was just terrible, though. That just got dealt with in a very
And of course, the main link to this was obviously that it brought in because of WandaVision, and it follows on very, very sort of directly from the TV. I know we're not talking about TV shows, but it follows on very directly from that. To have Wanda in there. So I mean, at the time, WandaVision wasn't one of my favoritist of the TV shows either. Actually, having gone back and again watched it since, I've enjoyed it more. But yeah, so for me, I was hoping that it was going to be a great one, like Simon said, and I didn't really. The multiverse is really tricky, isn't it, to try and manage it, and it gets in the way of a good story sometimes, I think.
Yeah, and also one of the issues here, similar to what happened in I think Phase 3, where I think the first film of Phase 3 was Captain America: Civil War, and if you remember, I made the point that as much as it's a Captain America film, it's actually a continuation of the Tony Stark saga. The problem with this film is it's really just a continuation of the WandaVision TV show, and it's more about her than it is about him. It's really not an exploration of Doctor Strange. He's just the vehicle passing through it to tell her story, and it's and because everything driving it's about her and her and her this and her that, and of course they also use it to introduce this new character, which is what's her name, who is in the Marvels. I've got her name. The kid who Wanda wants, because she's the one that can lead her to new portals.
America Chavez.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, what's the actor? No, what's her character name?
America Chavez.
Yeah.
That is
One
it,
that's
America
been-
Oh,
Chavez.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
this film exists to introduce her and to tell WandaVision's story. The one thing it doesn't really do is further explore or develop Doctor Strange until maybe the very end with the credit scene. And it's like with the third eye, Doctor
It gets
Strange.
the eye. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
it
gets.
gets the eye, which is a
But
major, which by the way is a major thing. If you read the cartoons, that's a major part of being Doctor Strange. But it's literally that's the most interesting part of character development of the movie about Doctor Strange, and it's punted to the end, and everything else is about her and
and
America.
who do we else see? Who else do we see in that post-credit scene? Because someone.
What's her name? The South African actress. She's in it as well.
I remember this. Okay.
There's someone else that we haven't really seen again, isn't it? Since considering,
Yes, we haven't. Yeah.
she's quite, she's quite key. She can open these portals, and she can.
Charlize Theron. Yes, I can't remember who
I can't
as.
remember that.
Maybe
Yeah.
as another Doctor Strange.
Are you looking it up, Adam?
I'm looking out, but we can carry on.
We've paused.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's a
Introducing
powerful sorceress. She's a
as
powerful
Clee.
sorceress in
Yeah.
the Dark Dimension who informs Doctor Strange that his actions caused an incursion, then recruits him to fix it, which is interesting because it would be the TVA that would actually do that. But
That's
anyway,
right. She tracks them down on the street, and they disappear through a portal or something.
Yes. Yes.
and her character name is Clea. That was the most interesting part in terms of developing Doctor Strange. Everything up until then is just him acting as a vehicle to introduce a new character and to finish off WandaVision's story. That's it. So from that point, I didn't think it was a great movie. I didn't think it was great.
No. Agreed.
6 out of 10.
We've already got two more.
We've only got two more, but I don't know whether we're going to ever say any of these. The next two, what have we got? We've got Thor: Love and Thunder.
Love and Thunder.
Oh.
Tal, do you have love for Thor: Love and Thunder?
No, I don't.
Why not?
That is the most recent Thor film, isn't it?
It is, yes.
Yeah.
It is the
yes,
last one, yeah.
It was a bit of a joke, really. I think it was a real shame. Yeah, I just feel that they were just trying to be too funny and too clever with it.
It was just played too much for laughs. Like, I feel like Thor started off as this too serious, almost Shakespearean. It then kind of came into this middle zone with Thor Ragnarok, where, like, I think the balance was perfect between action, comedy, story, characters. It was great. I think everyone loves that film. Most people love that film. I love that film. That's all I can say. And then you can go, but then Love and Thunder kind of continues on and just goes into the absurd and into just played for laughs and just tips it over the wrong end of the spectrum.
If the Eternals wasn't in this phase, I'd say it was the worst film in the phase. I think actually maybe it is worse than the Eternals, and I did say the Eternals wasn't good either about 10 minutes ago.
Well, I think this is worse because the disappointment. Like, we all love Thor, we love Chris Hemsworth as Thor, we love the other characters, whereas. And it just doesn't deliver. Whereas Eternals, we're like, well, who are these characters? What is this all about? Like, I guess the expectation perhaps wasn't as there. So,
and also, it never really explains who these gods are and where they've all suddenly turned up and how come Zeus is around and what have they been doing up until now and all of this. Anyway, Simon, your hand went up.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say that I almost entirely agree with Adam. You're right. Like Thor Ragnarok was like the peak of what they wanted to do with that character, and then this was just pushing it too far on the playing it for laughs. It actually is. I haven't seen it in a while, but I do remember it still being quite funny. But just wasn't a great movie, and it was silly. It was too silly.
But funny in like with the goats pulling the thing and the noise the goats were making. It was, I don't know. It was just
and
like
the whole thing when
weird.
he's like he's jealous that his hammer is like got a new owner and like come to me and then it won't come to him, and it went too. I completely agree. It went too far. It is still enjoyable though. Like, it still does put a smile on your face, but it's just. I don't think this is a movie that they really needed to make. I don't think.
Yes. Again, where does it fit in? We haven't asked this question of this episode of 4 Men in Wormhole yet, but we're calling this Phase 4 as if it's part of something. But a lot of these movies, even if they, well, They either never had any intention of joining them up, or they had an intention but haven't joined them up, like we were saying about Shang-Chi. But what is the point of love, Thor,
Yeah,
Love and Thunder?
at least
What
with
is the point of this
Ragnarok.
phase? Where are we
Yeah.
going? What do we need this phase
Well,
to be?
he becomes a dad. I think his story. That's what his story.
Yeah, but
That's
that's in the
what.
last 5 minutes of the
Yeah.
movie.
No. I completely agree with you. But it comes like just thinking about where it leaves Thor. It leaves Thor as a dad, which I think gives him a bit more in future ones, some like grounding. Like he was lost in Endgame, wasn't he? What's the point
Yeah.
of like, I'll defeat another enemy? Come on, bring it on. You can be as big as a planet, whatever. I'll defeat you, and I know I'll do that. So I think that it might give him the future Thor character perhaps can have a bit more at stake because he's going to want to
Yeah, no, I
do
get that,
something
but this
thing
is
for
this is the
his
problem.
daughter.
But this is the problem with the phase. They're saying
Yeah,
that each film is a roller coaster ride. They've designed
It's
rides,
muddled.
and then
I
for the
think, and
last 5 minutes, they've done let's do a tiny bit of character development. Hence,
yeah,
Doctor Strange gets the third eye, which, by the way, is a major thing in the cartoons. And
yeah.
in this movie,
In
he
the
suddenly becomes
comics,
a dad. But up
yeah,
until then, it's just been a roller coaster ride with thrills and this, that, and the other, and nothing substantive. Now that might seem a
agreed.
bit cruel, but I think
No,
that is the common thread in this phase. Tal, you wanted to say something?
yeah, no, I totally agree. I think if you look at all the films in the phase, as a we haven't done Black Panther yet, but that'll obviously be next. They're all very different. Like I know, obviously, with the other phases, you had the Avenger movies, which kind of tied it all together. But at least, like for instance, with Thor Ragnarok, they had the Hulk. Obviously,
Hulk was
that was,
missing.
was
Yeah,
missing, and there was a reason for that. He'd obviously gone off in the twin jet and all that sort of thing. And it's
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
so that it all felt like you said, Stephen, it felt like it had a place in time and in within the story arc of the whole phase. Here, and I think while we were watching, I mean, I don't know about you, but how I felt, while I was watching these films is, I was, you always like, for instance, you always look forward to the end credits on the films as well, because you sort of think that's going to kind of give you an idea of what's sort of coming where and all that sort of stuff. And I mean, I can't even remember any of these end credits for these ones, to be honest, but maybe they did kind of like introduce the next film, but they somehow weaved it in. I don't know, but it's like, it feels very clunky, and it doesn't feel like there is any kind of continuity or any kind of like feeling like this is the thing. I mean, at least maybe now with, I know phase 5 is sort of ongoing and all this sort of stuff, but it's like maybe with, are we in phase 6 now actually? Are we still doing phase 5 in terms of what we're actually doing? Anyway, the films that are coming out next, we've got hinted at there might be more Avengers coming and the new Avengers, and obviously with Thunderbolts you have the new Avengers and all that. I feel like at least it could go somewhere, but I feel like I've lost faith. Like this phase in particular has made me lose faith in
Yeah.
whether they're actually going to go anywhere with any of it, or whether they're just now looking at good standalone, or they'll do a couple of stories on one thing and then jump over to something else. And again, they've got the multiverse, so they can do whatever they like, in terms of timelines and all that stuff. I know Doctor Doom, they're going to bring in we've got X-Men coming and all that stuff, but it's like, is it going to be just a case of they're doing it because they have to feel like they have to do some big reveal, with all these different characters that are going to be in Doctor Doom, or is it actually there for a reason that is then going to follow through into subsequent films, so that we can feel like we can get invested back into the universe again and feel like, oh, we want to know where this is going and where that's going. Like I did when I watched Shang-Chi, and I thought, oh, this is going to go into Doctor Strange, and we're going to, get lots of different things coming, and then nothing.
Yeah, Simon.
It's interesting because, and you've got me thinking, Todd, because all of these threads from the Eternals and from Doctor Strange, and all these things either during the show or the post credit scenes, these new characters that almost certainly there was an intention to do something with them. And now I'm thinking it's too late for them to start to thread some of this stuff back in, because let's say in Avengers Doomsday we suddenly do, well, I know we're going to be seeing Shang-Chi in there, but let's say there's characters from Eternals, some other areas. It's too late for the audience to go to. They'll be spending the whole time going, "Hang on, who were they? Did I see them 5 years ago in a movie, or is it something I missed?" Or and combined with the fact that they're going to be introducing a load of X-Men characters as well to the audience, which may well be new for a large part of the audience. They've got a real problem actually if they're trying to weave too much stuff into that movie, because when they did Endgame and Infinity War and Endgame, we knew all those characters. There wasn't as many. We were fresh. We knew we knew what journey they were on and what their character arc was. I think because they pulled back and not continued a lot of these threads or removed some movies or delayed stuff. I think that there might be a problem in Doomsday with us remembering who the hell some of these people were. But we'll see. We'll see. But it's a really interesting point,
I,
Tom.
I do
Well,
I
we've
do
been discussing
remember
it. Oh, sorry.
I do remember that during this phase, and maybe a little bit of five, but certainly this phase, I remember watching these movies felt like a job. I didn't go to the cinema for them. I watched them on Disney Plus, and I was watching them to justify my subscription. And also, I felt it was as a Marvel fan, I had to watch them. Almost what Simon's saying, but I was thinking that I had to watch them to make sure that when it did all make sense, I knew what was going on. But I almost felt like it was a job. So I remember my wife would say, "What are you watching?" I'm going to watch, I'm going to watch Eternals. But was I looking forward to watching Eternals? No. Did I necessarily enjoy it whilst I was watching it? And at the end of it, did I feel it was a fulfilling experience? Yeah. But I felt like I tick it off the list, and I've watched the Eternals, and that's really not a good reason to watch a film.
No.
But that's the power of the Marvel franchise. But let's move on to our final film of this phase, which actually is a pretty good film. Not as good as the original, but pretty good film. And let's be honest, they were in a difficult situation. What were the main star of the first film, unfortunately passing away to cancer. So Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. Adam, did you ever watch this? Because you look like you're in shock.
I did no, no. I was just panicking that you were going to come to me first. I did watch this. I was a big fan of the original movie. Thought it was really good. I know that they tried to kind of have the really sad passing of Chadwick Boseman, and they tried to deal with that. And there was kind of funeral scenes within the film, and it was very respectful. But I didn't love the movie, to be honest. Didn't. It doesn't stand out to me as that it was that it really moved things on, or that was great. So yeah, I don't have much to really add to that. I thought we were going to see more from the characters. One of the characters. I thought they were going to become, like, we already knew Iron Man had passed, and was one of the characters was going to become. Was she going to kind of play more of a role? And that just kind of didn't seem to happen. She became Ironheart. Is that Riri Williams? Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, she became Ironheart, which was a TV show.
Yeah, but I thought it was going to be a bit. That's like a. I don't know. She didn't become a mainstream part of it, did she?
I don't know. I mean, Ironheart was only, I think, last year. And I believe there's more to do with that character
Yeah.
and storyline. So they kind of, I think it was like one of the final scenes where there was like a scene they were sitting on by a beach or by a lake or something.
Oh yeah.
That does lead into the TV show Ironheart, which is actually pretty good. If you haven't seen it, I do recommend it. And Sacha Baron Cohen is in it as well as what pops up in the last few episodes. He's really really good in it. But yeah, but I do agree with what you're saying, Adam, about the movie. It wasn't a great movie. Again, it was good. They needed to have another Black Panther movie to. I guess to honour both the actor and the character, and I think that they did that quite well. But in terms of storyline, it wasn't that great. There was this, there was like his name was Namor. He was like the under the sea type god type character who's
It
the
was their
bad
version of
one.
the Atlanteans. Their version of the Atlanteans.
Yeah, and then he turns good at the end, and it's a bit sort of like, okay, great. It wasn't a particularly great ending to that storyline. But interesting though, I think he's coming back. I think he
He
might
is.
be
Is
convinced
is. He's
Tuesday.
in one of those trailers that we discussed last
Right.
week, that where none of it may turn up in the final movie. But at the moment, he's
At the
currently
moment,
in
he is.
one of the
Yeah,
trailers.
and
Yeah.
also, if you remember, what was going on there was referenced in. I think in Endgame. I think in Endgame there was a reference to what was going on in the seas in the South Pacific or something. Like they'd mentioned some disturbances, so it was tied in a little bit. But yeah, overall, this was a little bit underwhelming. And yeah, it
The one
was.
thing it did, Simon, the one thing it did, because we've criticised this in other movies, is ironically, it picked up on from where Eternals left off, because the whole thing was about mining the power source that was the outcome of that big, was it celestial or whatever?
Oh yeah, yeah. Actually, yeah. It did. Yeah,
Yeah, so which was so random. When I say random, it was so random because no, we hadn't heard about it at all in any of the TV shows or any of the other movies. And then suddenly, in this movie,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
a huge world event. All the world, I mean, all the governments are fighting over this, right? This is a major
Yeah.
event, and it's the first time we've heard about it since Eternals. And it was great they connected it, but then also begged the question: why is this the first time we're hearing about the post math of Eternals? Like, it makes no sense. But tell, did you watch this film?
I did, yeah. I haven't got a lot to add actually. I think you've covered a lot of what I was going to say. I mean, again, I thought it was good. I mean, I I liked the first Black Panther film. I didn't. I say I love it. I don't know. It was borderline like and love. I think it's top end of like, bottom end of love. This didn't quite even get there. I think so. I liked it, but it's not one that I'd rush to watch again. And I don't think it really, and yeah, again, it doesn't really fit in for me. It doesn't feel like it fits in with um, with the kind of what comes next, so much. They're very kind of standalone, the Black Panther films, but I like, the fact they're visually very different, and I like the whole tech side of Wakanda and all that sort of thing. But yeah, it's not gonna, yeah, I'm definitely not gonna sort of worry too much if there isn't another Black Panther film, I think personally. But yeah.
I think one thing to no, we're not going to go through them in detail. We will do that at the end, but because this was where there was a massive increase in TV shows, which I think affected the quality of writing, direction, focus, and everything. But what's really interesting is when I look at the list of TV shows that were part of this phase, I'll quickly list them: WandaVision, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Loki, What If, or What If's different, Hawkeye, Moon Knight, remember that? Miss Marvel, She-Hulk, Attorney at Law, which will be a whole episode in itself, probably by the when we dig our hands into it. But very little of it has much to do with the films. It's like it's really random. It's so random. It's like they talk this. What did you say this phase is officially called? The multiverse saga.
Yeah, yeah. Multiverse Saga. Yeah.
And it seems to me that's a cover story for let's just create random film sagas. Because
Well, yeah.
where it should be the multiverse saga invites connectivity, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, actually, they seem to have interpreted it as let's connect and make sense as
But
little as
you,
possible.
but you made the point about homework, and that the films may felt less like homework, but the TV series really became like homework. Like, oh, I'm going to have to watch the next series of Wanda to try and make sure I don't miss something for the next movie. So I felt that became really like a
Yeah,
negative experience in my mind. The
yes,
films never quite got like that for me, but the TV shows definitely got like that.
yeah. I mean, the only TV show that really linked to something that we'd seen was actually probably maybe the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but it was probably Hawkeye. I mean, that was like as a direct thing, but a lot of it was the films are disjointed, so maybe the TV shows weren't put in the best starting point because what was happening around them
Yeah,
was
yeah.
already disjointed, if that makes sense.
I don't know.
So,
I think you're underselling the TV shows, both in terms of how good they were and in terms of how they're connected into the universe. Like WandaVision was absolutely followed on from what had happened to Vision.
Yeah, yeah, it's true.
As we've always said, is a prelude to the Doctor Strange movie. Loki is absolute follows on from the events in Endgame on the time heist. Like literally, that's how the
yeah.
show starts, and I think that we'll see that come back into it. And Hawkeye was
No,
very
no,
much.
it's a two-way thing. I'm not saying the shows are in themselves totally disjointed, even though some of them are. And some of them literally go out their way not to refer to anything else that has happened, or there might be a direct link in one specific bit, but then it's like the rest of the world doesn't happen. But what I'm saying is these are. When you look at the phase as a whole, there seems to be a complete disconnect between a lot of the movies we've just been talking about and and
And that
those
is true.
movies.
But as Adam said earlier, in the earlier phases, things didn't come together until towards the end and sort of leading up to Endgame, they were all reasonably standalone. Before we got to Infinity War and Endgame, they were all reasonably standalone.
Yeah, but we've had this is phase 4. Nothing comes together at phase 4,
I
and
agree,
and,
yeah.
and nothing, and a lot of what we have talked about isn't picked up again, even in phase 5. And they
No,
usually do
I just
say
looked ahead
connect
at.
it together, but you can't connect it together just by having people turn up, because as you said, Simon, people will go, "Who is that?"
Yeah.
And all the rest of it. But
Well, I think
anyway,
it might be even worse that because we're going to be like, well, I think I know who that is. Oh no, it's the same person, but they're actually playing a different character. So I think it's going to get very confusing.
Simon, yeah.
Just one more thing that I just noticed that is at the end of the phase 4 is and tell me if you've watched this actually, the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special.
I saw that. Yeah.
That is the
I
best part
love
of
that.
phase 4.
Yeah, that
I
was
think that
really
was
good.
terrific.
It was so funny. It was brilliant. I thought it was really, really good.
And
If you-
also, it actually connects us to the real world because Kevin Bacon's in it.
yeah, absolutely. So for our audience who haven't seen it, like basically,
Oh, Kevin Bate. Yes, yes.
yeah. So basically, I think like in previous movies of Guardians of the Galaxy, we've established that Star-Lord, Chris Pratt's character, loves Kevin Bacon and actually kind of thinks that Kevin Bacon is a bit of a superhero, just because of he hasn't really understood the movies that he's seen him in and just thinks that he's just like not necessarily a superhero, but just an amazing guy. Anyway, so Drax and one of the other ones decide that for Christmas they're gonna get him Kevin Bacon, and they come to Earth and they go and they kidnap him and they take him back to. They're living on nowhere.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And it's just really. I mean, it's silly and funny and a little bit Christmassy. And if you haven't seen it, I really recommend
Don't
it.
they kidnap him is it a fridge or something like
Yeah.
that?
Absolutely good though. But then it's funny though because he's like just scared. Like it's like they play it like of course he's scared and
Yeah.
of being kidnapped. It's funny. It's good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a
I
great
actually think it's one
precursor
of the
to
best.
Volume 3.
Yeah, I
Really
think
is.
it's one of the best parts of Phase 4. Is that movie, and it feels more part of the universe than many of the things we've talked about on this episode. And again, yeah, and you feel really invested in those characters, and there aren't too many characters, and they don't introduce new random people. And the one person they do introduce, he plays himself, and we all know who he is anyway because it's Kevin Bacon, right? So yeah, anyway, I do like the comment you made, Adam, just before Simon chipped in with that, which is this: the Doomsday thing could get even more complicated because there could be people who you recognise not playing the character that you know them for, hence Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah,
But who knows? There could be other instances.
yeah.
I mean,
I just,
supposedly Ian McKellen's in it. I mean, they are bringing the whole caboodle in. But I just is this film going to have a 3.5 hour runtime?
I hope so.
yeah. I'm that longer.
All very quick cameos. That's the only thing, isn't it? That's the only worry, isn't it? That they just end up as being a lot of the bits end up as
Blink, and you miss it.
Yeah.
Kind of
shame.
Yeah.
Well, on that blinking bombshell, I think we'll bring this episode to an end. Our next one will be examining Phase 5. And after that, we can then break down all the TV shows in detail, which I know we're keen to do, and then we'll be caught up. And I guess we'll then do a regular episode where we actually review the most recent film, which was the Fantastic Four. So we're almost there. So thank you for joining us, Tal. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Yeah, you have to speak. Here's the podcast.
I did.
He always
I said
gets confused by that.
Yeah, I did.
We could just say what he's doing. We just go, he's waving. But he's
We'll
waving
try.
everyone.
Tyler's waving manically. Adam Leach and your hair, thank you for joining us.
It's been a pleasure. Really enjoyable. Looking forward to getting to the end of Phase 5.
Yes. And Simon Cohen, it really is an honour. It's humbling to have you with us. Thank you for being with us.
Pleasure is all mine.
And on that bombshell, I'd like to thank all of our Wormies for joining us, especially the French ones, and we will see you on our next show. Bye-bye. Four men in a wormhole!